Today's episode of Passionate Talk is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and 30-day free trial at books.passionatetalk.com. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Get your 30-day free trial and free audiobook at books.passionatetalk.com. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Passionate Talk. I am your host, Gary Karp, and this is episode number 29. Today is the second half of my conversation with Dragon Phoenix Media owner and founder, Bill Lutz, and it is all Star Trek all the time. This is a really geeked out episode, giving you that disclaimer right up front. We talk about Bill's love for Star Trek and how that came about. We talk about Star Trek TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, and the newest Star Trek Discovery. We'll also talk a little bit about the Orville, and of course, Bill starts us off by talking more about the Fantastic Four and how that is the ultimate dysfunctional family. Now, towards the end of the conversation, you'll start to hear about Bill's passion about education. And in addition to being the owner and founder of Dragon Phoenix Media, Bill is also a college professor teaching the next generation of students about IT and databases so they can make the world a better place. So for right now, I want you to sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, maybe some tea, perhaps some Romulan ale, and get ready to geek out and trek out to the second half of my conversation with Bill. Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom is Reed's uncle?
No, he's just the crazy uncle. Think of it like the extended family. You know, you have Reed, you have Sue, and you have Johnny. Johnny and Sue are brother and sister. Reed's brother-in-law. Ben is God's father to the kid, to Franklin. Well, they have a daughter, Valeria, and her godfather is Victor Von Doom.
Okay, so it's an extended family, basically.
Basically, and Dr. Doom's the crazy uncle.
Wow, wouldn't you just love to have holiday dinner over there, over at the Richards?
The Baxter Building would be one hell of a Christmas time. You know? But yeah, my fascination with the Fantastic Four is also similar with Star Trek and Star Wars and being able to draw and to write. They were the first few things I saw of Fantastic Four. My first comic book that I bought was Fantastic Four 176, which reintroduced the Impossible Man. Why I bought that, I don't know. But then it got me hooked on comics. So now I pretty much have the entire run of the Fantastic Four, shy 20 issues.
Wow.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get myself a copy of Fantastic Four 1. If anybody wants to give me $3 or $4 grand, that'd be really cool. But
And hey, remember, I get 10% of that as your agent.
Yeah. Also, the fascination with Star Trek was just an escapist fun. I liked it. I loved the stories. I understood the stories. I never, ever found an episode I totally disliked. Well, maybe
okay, Spock's brain. Right, we're both going there.
The space hippies are just totally 60s weird. So yes. I let that one fly through, but it was hysterical. I love the animated series, and I love pretty much all the versions that came out with the Next Generation is probably, to me, the best of all the series. I do like Deep Space Nine. I was a big fan of the Dominion War because I thought it took Star Trek on a path that had to be explored, but also they kept it within the guidelines established.
Well, yes, they also, I think with DS9, there was a concerted effort to make it more like Babylon 5 from Michael J. Straczynski, which had taken science fiction and serialized it and made it about more than just Monster of the Week episodes and really built a beginning and an end and a story arc with good and evil, which really became chaos and order, which blew my mind when I found that out. And I think Roddenberry and Berman and everybody who was in charge of DS9 and TNG at the time went, this is the future. We need to make our show more like B5.
Well, in that aspect, too, they made a couple of mistakes. Voyager was great, but being lost in the Delta Quadrant kind of petered out after 4 years. I think And of Seven of Nine was drawn exclusively to attract young fettered hornballs to watch the show.
Well, that and she was dating Berman at the time. Come on.
And Enterprise, while I thought had great potential, the only things I liked about Enterprise, the year-long Xindi arc was good, but the fourth season of Enterprise was so superior, it just blew my mind. And it was Star Trek, but it was action. It explained everything, how the Vulcans finally became the Vulcans we know, the origin of the bumpy-headedlessness Klingons, the beginnings of the Federation, how the Romulans were the supreme power in the Alpha Quadrant, like the Dominion was in the Gamma Quadrant. But then, thanks to, once again, people who have no idea about thinking about the future, Enterprise ended up getting canceled, where we would have seen in the fifth season the Kzinti, which I would have loved to see animated.
Now, we've talked about all the past Star Trek series, and I'm going to ask you now a rather controversial question, and that's dealing with Discovery, okay? Now, I happen to be a subscriber to CBS All Access before they came out with Discovery because, well, I'm a cord cutter. I haven't had cable in my house for about a year now. I basically have Hulu, Netflix, CBS All Access. So I watched Discovery, and I happen to like Discovery. I think it's a very good show. I love what they're doing with it. However, I describe it as it's really, really good. It's just not the Star Trek that I know. But there are so many fans out there, the tried and true, the ones that bleed Klingon green, that won't even give it a chance. These are the same people that when JJ rebooted the universe went, wait a second, Kirk wasn't born in space, right? So how do you feel, number one, about the show Star Trek Discovery? And we'll talk about Orville in a moment. And what do you feel about what JJ has done in rebooting the universe in the Kelvin versus Prime universes?
All right. Well, let's talk about Star Trek Discovery first. Star Trek Discovery is a great science fiction show. However, I don't believe it is Star Trek. I've been watching it. I've debated some people about it on Facebook. Some have called me obstinate because I don't care for it. Others have said I'm not giving it a chance. And these are the same people who are condemning shows like The Orville or having your own basic opinion. I have been watching Star Trek Discovery.
I love it.
I'm not quite sure. I think it has some extraordinary actors, which I think is saving grace. It has brilliant production designs.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
The cinematography is excellent. The stories are lame.
Well, you see, and here's where I think I'm going to disagree with you. I think the stories, for the most part, are strong. I think that they're leading you somewhere. They're taking you down a garden path, and it is darker than anyone who loves Star Trek and the optimistic view that Star Trek gives of utopia. It's a very...
Why do you have to change it? Star Trek is about a utopian society where humanity finally grows up. Why do you have to change it? Why do you have to take that utopia and just for the sake of the glorified dollar, do you give us something dark and evil and corrupt? And God knows what they did to the Klingons. Don't even get me started on what they did to the Klingons. The idea of Star Trek is a utopian society. There's so much dystopia out there already. Why do you have to make it worse? You do it for the bloody buck. CBS often proclaimed they don't like science fiction.
And folks, you could hear Bill has a lot of passion when it comes to his geekdom. Okay, and that really is what a geek is someone who loves something, anything, with such a passion that they will die for it effectively. You know, they're the weird people that show up at conventions in what they used to be known as costumes, and now it's all cosplay. A lot of Star Trek fans feel the same way as you do, Bill. I see it on Facebook. I see it on my discussions that I have with people when I'm just hanging out and having a beer. The way I look at Discovery is it's a good story. As you said, it's good science fiction, and I'm just along for the ride. And I look at JJ's World the same way. I'm not comparing it to Shatner, DeForest Kelley, and Leonard Nimoy. I'm looking at it as a story, as entertainment.
The biggest problem with the JJ universe...
Oh, it's too slick. It's too slick.
That Maybe some of your viewers are going to hate me for saying this, but it's dumbed down.
Okay, go with that. Explain that a little bit, please.
Star Trek is full of technobabble and based on a lot of scientific theory as well as scientific fact. The JJ universe is a roller coaster ride bent on making it look like Star Wars.
Okay, now, do you think that's because the movies going public and movies in the 60s and 70s were at a much slower pace? They developed much slower. The attention span of people was much larger and longer. Not necessarily intelligent, but in today's world, everything is a popcorn movie. Everything is explosions.
We talked about that with them bringing back the adventure and fun films of popcorn movies. I fully like popcorn movies. What I don't like is taking something and watering it down because the doorknob next to me doesn't know how to add 2 plus 2. I'm also very passionate of the fact that this country needs education. If you don't educate someone and you don't take that passion and put it to someplace where they can evolve to a better understanding of things, then you basically got doorknobs. Okay? Again, I'm very, pardon the pun, passionate about this. Big believer in education. Education enhances creativity and enhances imagination.
And that is very, very important. Education enhances creativity. And that leads us back to you doing your artwork, doing the drawing, becoming the illustrator, starting DPM, bringing value into the world, not only in an entertainment, let's put our brain on hold and forget about the blech that's going on outside. Let's escape for a little while. But it also helps feeds the economy because you are contributing not only to commerce, but hopefully you'll get to the point with DPM that you will be hiring people. So it's not just you and Rob and Root and Glenn. Didn't mean to forget you, Glenn. And that is really where education is important. And I do agree with you that we need to change our education system. But let's just take a left turn here because where we were going was...
You know, gotta be careful. Last time someone took a left turn at Albuquerque, they ended up, be careful.
Yes, I'm wealthy. I'm a greedy little miser. Yes, I get it. One of my favorite Warner Brother cartoons.
Alibaba Bunny.
Yep, it's a great, great cartoon. We started talking about you getting into editing and getting into directing. Could you tell us why you made that leap from just being the illustrator to wanting to edit and wanting to direct your own visions?
Okay. When I first started video editing, I was working in Star Trek Phase 2 as a video ingest
and
guy.
Star Trek Phase, just to interrupt you for a moment, Star Trek Phase 2 was the James Cawley production. Now that is now that wonderful museum piece in Ticonderoga, New York, that if you're a Star Trek fan, go make the pilgrimage. I was lucky enough to work on those sets when it was still a web series with Mouse. It's incredible. I literally remember seeing the bridge set for the first time, and I fell to my knees. I just lost it.
I had similar feelings when I saw the bridge. So when I first came up there, and this all comes back to how I got the name Mouse as well, too, because when Star Trek Phase 2 came out, I was kind of like, with Glenn Smith and a couple other people, kind of like fun troublemakers on the forums. And then we went up and got worked, and then the Mouse name stuck because my iconic image was Pinky and/or the Brain. So everyone was calling me Mouse or Lab Mouse. As I got up to Ticonderoga at the time, when I got up to Star Trek Phase 2, I was put in the computer room area, digitally processing film. I was not made a traditional PA in essential form. I was put in to get the computers working because I had just begun my studies in computers as well.
Okay.
So I started doing this. I started learning video ingest. Then I started to learn to edit. And I found that it's fun. I really enjoy cutting film. I really enjoy trying to match up one scene to another and learning about all this. Again, this is another learning experience. And I've come to the conclusion that it's an extension of being able to draw comic books. Because when you're cutting a film, at least in my opinion, I am not in any way, shape, or form an Academy Award-winning editor or anything. When you're cutting film, it's like putting a comic book together. only this is moving pictures.
And I think that's very important, that when you find your passion, as you did with drawing, the natural progression just unfolds in front of you. If you trust the universe and trust your talents and your skills and your passion, the universe will put that next step in front of you, as you went from illustrator, or actually you went from drawing on the walls to deciding to become an illustrator, to doing commercial, to going to be a video editor, and that led you to your opportunity to actually direct a fan film. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, that was perhaps one of my best experiences I'd ever had. At the time, when we were working on Jim Bray's Technofear company.
And Jim was one of my first guests here. He is a wonderful, talented individual, and Outer Rim, when it comes out, is really going to be something special.
We began work on the first episode, Brian Kovalt's Sweepers, which I was going up as director of photography, as well as probably only camera guy there too, with a couple other people. And I was just planning on doing what Jim wanted. Jim was going to direct it and do makeup. But something happened when we got up there. Something clicked inside of me. And I just started saying, well, how about we do it like this? Is it okay we do it like this? And then it got into, all right, this is the way I want you to. Now, pretend you're this. Can you bring the camera turning it this way? Look at the angle through the lens. See how we're going to do it? And it just clicked. And since that point, Jim Brace just basically said, let him do it. I got makeup to do.
So you went from just being director of photography and running the camera, being the guy that presses the button, so to speak. But as you saw the layout of the set and as you saw the scenes unfolding in your head, you took that step and you went, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't we set it up here? Why doesn't the actor go here? What is cliched, I know. What is the motivation? Why don't you think about doing this in your head? And you took that opportunity when the opportunity was presented. Now, a lot of that goes to Jim and the way he runs his ship in a teamwork environment. But you also should be congratulated by taking that step and doing it. And that is so important, that when you have that opportunity to just jump in with both feet.
Well, we also discussed, too, that when we do the Challenger series, I'm going up there. I will be DP, but I will not be directing because I'm also going to be acting in this one. So I'm not wearing that many hats this time, but I'm looking forward to working the camera shots with Jim. And when we do our second episode of Sweepers, oh yes, I will be directing that episode. I'm very excited about that.
So, Mouse, right now I'm going to ask you the question that I love about this show and that I ask to all my guests. And that is, if there is someone who has a passion for drawing, has a passion for visual arts, directing, making films, what's the one piece of advice you would give them to follow and be successful in going down that road?
Do it. That's the only thing I can think of right now. Do it. Because to me, there's two different types of success. The visual applauding that you get from everybody saying what a great thing you did. And also, then there's a success deep within yourself. You got to do it. I've had my ups and downs. I've had setbacks like every other human being. Sometimes I think I've had more setbacks than a lot of other people. But you got to do it. Dropping my best walk accent, you got to do it.
That's important. Just do it. You know, it's just, the Nike. Just do it.
Take the chance, because I spent a lot of my life through things growing up and between certain members of family and certain things when I was growing up that I was denied a lot of stuff. So now that I'm on my own and I am the kind of person I'm trying to be, I'm now doing it. In my 30s and in my 40s, I found I like to video edit. I like to make movies, make episodes. And Star Trek was a good beginning of it. When the whole Paramount commandment decree came down about fan films being made, I'd gotten so disgusted with that I just simply said, why can't we just do original stuff? Then came Technofear with Sweepers and Challenger and some other things that were other projects we're working on that allowed it to be, we're finally doing original stuff. So we're not fan film anymore, but maybe that word independent film.
And folks, again, what Mouse said is extremely important. Just do it. Go for it. Joseph Campbell, said, "Follow your bliss and the money will follow."
Benjamin Franklin also said this too. Beer is proof that God loves mankind.
Yes, that's my favorite Benjamin Franklin quote of all time. And I know it's your favorite quote. So those two quotes from Mouse, okay? Just do it, and beer is proof that God loves us. Now...
Oh, well, you got to have one more quote, Gary. You got to have... Everyone's got to know that I say this too. Narf.
And he does say that, absolutely. Now, Bill, I would like to give you the opportunity right now, if people want to reach out and talk to you about graphic design, if they need a logo, if they need a book cover, if they need anything to do, what is the best way to get in touch with you? How could they get in touch with you for your work as an illustrator and graphic designer? And also, how could they find out about Dragon Phoenix Media?
Well, the first thing, Dragon Phoenix Media has its own website, which is dragonphoenixmedia.com. We're also on Facebook. So you can go to Facebook, type in Dragon Phoenix Media, give us a like, because we want to break that 1,000 likes. We are in the process of rebuilding everything, because as soon as Rob gets done with college and I'm in a better place with my workload, we're going to make some changes to Dragon Phoenix Media, hopefully promote it even better. And the best way to contact me, per se, is to email me, wlutz1701@gmail.com.
Okay, that was Lutz, Lutz 061?
1701.
Oh,
those numbers should be familiar to any Star Trek freak who knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, those are the call insignia for the Starship Enterprise. So one more time for us, Bill, can you let us have that email?
My email address is wlutz1701@gmail.com.
Oh, Bill, Mouse, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today and talking about your fandom and your geekdom and Star Wars and Star Trek. I know we didn't talk about Orville, okay, but just to touch on it a little bit, I love the show. I'm glad it got renewed for a second season.
I was so happy it got renewed.
I
believe Fox did something right.
I think it is really the spirit of the original Star Trek, TOS.
You can tell that McFarlane has a passion for Star Trek, and he's communicated with his unique, crazy style, and also the fact that some of his stories are just as poignant as original and Next Generation Trek stories.
Once he's out of the once he's out of the Family Guy mode, the man actually can write.
The story about Bortus and his kid, as well as that allegorical story of social media, McFarlane hit the nail on both those, which I thought was brilliant. That story about social media, my God, this country is one step away from pushing the like and dislike of your personal life.
Well, really, we have American Idol, so we already have it, okay, if you think about it.
Exactly. But the thing is, took it one step further by having society based on popularity, a truly unfettered, uncontrolled democratic society where voting you off the island can get you killed.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing.
Well, think about the social media and the aspects that we're into today, which is why I'm avoiding Facebook a lot lately, even though I have friends, I talk to my friends through it. It's that sometimes you just got to turn the damn thing off.
Yep, we all need to take a break from social media. As important as it is for us to connect with family and loved ones, as important as it is for us as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs to use social media to connect with our tribe, our communities, and grow our clients and sell our products and services so we can make the world a better place, you do need to take a step back from social media every once in a while and just sit in quiet introspection or go play some Frisbee or have a beer or whatever you're going to be doing.
I say have a beer, play some pool, interact with people instead of reacting with
Now,
people.
That's a concept. Mouse, I again want to thank you. This has been a pleasure. I know I'm a geek, and we will talk to you pretty soon, sir. Thank you very much.
Just remember, geeks rule, jocks drool. Narf.
Well, if you love Star Trek, you loved that conversation I just had with Bill. His insight into the Trek universe and why we all love Trek, that it's a utopian vision of the future, and that we have enough dystopian in our everyday lives, I think is very, very insightful. I also loved the metaphor he used at the beginning with the Fantastic Four being a dysfunctional family. Coming from a family that puts the fun back in dysfunction, I can definitely appreciate what Sue and Reed Richards go through with Victor Von Doom and all the rest. I also never made the connection between Darth Vader and Dr. Doom, so that was something that really made me think about what George Lucas's ideas were when he was first creating the Darth Vader character. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that journey into geekdom that we had. We'll be back Monday. Until then, follow your dreams and passions and manifest the life that you choose. And just for Bill, I think there's no better way of ending except to say, Narf! Hey folks, it's Gary. 2018 is right around the corner, and with the new year comes a brand new opportunity to manifest the life that you deserve. One of the best tools for manifestation are vision boards. In my best-selling book, Clear Visions, I share with you the best practices for creating vision boards that really work. And right now, you can get Clear Visions absolutely free by visiting books.passionatetalk.com. So go to books.passionatetalk.com and get your free copy of Clear Visions. When you do so, you'll also get a free 30-day trial to audible.com. Audible has over 100,000 titles that you can choose a new book from each and every month. So visit books.passionatetalk.com and get your copy of Clear Visions absolutely free today.